Good morning, afternoon, evening. Whenever you see this, this is Dee with INFP-A Assertive Insights. And I promised about the first part of February I would tell you about the other Carl in Psychologist that I like, who is Carl Rogers. And a lot of you don't know who he is. Some may. If you do, just give me a like. But this is, I would have to say, probably in my development, my professional development, and now I'm understanding how it turns out in personal development. My mentor, not personal mentor, but the person that I identified with when I was in school, not knowing that he is an INFP. He was an INFP. And I tried to get this all together for you, and it's not working out. It's so complex and so much involved that people have whole videos of just one part to his theory. So I would just suggest, if you're interested, I'll give you the blips. So if you're interested, you can look him up and watch some of the videos or read some of the articles about him. It's Carl Rogers. He is, we go with MBTI, and the MBTI we know is called Jung, and I want to pronounce it Southern and not the correct way, so I do know the difference. But I believe Carl Jung was an INFJ, if I'm not mistaken. If I am mistaken, please let me know. But I'm thinking, why are we so much into Jung as an INFJ, and for INFPs, why don't we listen to somebody who's an INFP? And yes, I do know, because he's the person sort of behind the forefront of the MBTI. And that is the hallmark, that is the way that people have said. Psychology, I mean, one criticism, I don't mean it in a bad way, I think it's constructive criticism and suggestion that I have had on several occasions in the 3 years, now almost 4, that I've had this channel, is why don't I do more on psychology? And I just say everything I do is psychology, but I think what everybody's talking about is more of what they consider the cerebral, the intellectual type. But they're all different types. And I will tell you how I heard about him. And so that's part one. So how I heard about him was when I was in school. And I say I was in professional school and that I've been mental health professional, but I never say exactly how or why what. And I will tell you a little bit now. I believe the video I'm doing right now should have been my second video. Hindsight's 2020. My intro is the actual one I should have done, but this should be in the number 2 of it makes you, after you see this video, you'll understand why I talk about what I talk about. So anyway, I was in social work school, and they say that, well, social workers just, take kids away to work for social services. No, I was in the Master of Social Work program, which is a professional program. It's for 2 years. It was very intense. I got into that part. I left law school and got into that part because of its holistic approach. It is science plus art, and we are the only profession that studies policy. So I will throw in a little politics here and there. I can't help it. But that's what I liked about it, the holistic approach. So we had to learn about all the different theorists, and I was the only one in class of like 30. It was a small class, like 30 people. And I was the only one that liked Rogers, and now I know why, because I was probably the only INFP in there. So here we go. Who is Carl Rogers? Carl Rogers is an American psychologist, psychotherapist, and he was born in 1902 to 1987, passed away in 1987. He is the developer of the client-centered therapy or person-centered therapy. He is in the School of Humanistic Psychology, Personality Development, which is different from MBTI type thing. What he believed, and he says, I've watched a lot of videos right now, what he says is he was not heard as a child. Remember, he's an INFP. He was not heard as a child, so he wanted in his work as a therapist to hear the other person, to be sure that he heard the other person. So he believes that the theory behind it, the theory is that he believes that everybody is good. There's good in everybody, and it's a self-actualization to the personality, that everybody has an innate. It's innate to be self-actualized. Interesting that Eric Thor talks a whole lot about INFPs and self-actualization. This is Carl Rogers, right to a T, that in the right environment. Now, it's not in every environment, but in the right environment, there's a key innate drive for self-actualization of people. And that comes about with the key word. We always had to work in school, we had to learn key words. And with Carl Rogers, it was unconditional positive regard. And that would be like a caring for somebody, of being able to feel in their, be in their shoes, which is so the whole concept of him and his theory and practice is so INFP, that you understand the other person, that the answer does not come from the outside, the answer for you comes from within. Again, that's another INFP trait, to look within and not without, outside. So you can see where that would kind of butt heads with someone who thinks in terms of Carl Jung, going into that area of psychology with the INFJ, because they're FE, and Carl Rogers being INFP is FI. So let's see what else I wrote down. I am going to be succinct with all this. That's basically that is basically what he's about. And I did want to, is about client-centered, that another thing is the person is the expert in their own life. We can't tell other people what to do because it's their life, they live it, so they're the experts in their own lives. So check him out, and I'm not going to make this too long, but I'm going to end, my battery's going dead. If you like any of this, and if you like more, so now you can understand why I do the videos that I do, and what my background, what my philosophy is, the same type of thing, to get into somebody's, not get into their head, but to get into them, who they are. Congruence is very popular with him, being real, being authentic. He talks about authenticity. He talks about transparency. He just talks, he talks INFP. I know if there was an INFP language, listen to him specifically, because he talks INFP. Now the video I was going to show you,
I agree.
Okay, let me go back. And before my battery goes dead, I am going to pan over here to the camera. I'm going to leave you with him, Carl Rogers, the other Carl, INFP, psychologist, person-centered therapy founder.
I am very fortunate, and the client is very fortunate, if I can feel I really accept you fully just as you are. Sometimes that's very difficult. I held an interview with a young man in South Africa. I didn't know anything about him. It turned out he was an officer in the South African Army. Now, for me, that meant it meant that I stretched my empathic abilities to their very limit to try to be with him, to try to understand him, to try to be caring toward him. I didn't feel I did too well. And yet, I've learned since that interview really changed the course of his life. So, I feel that if I can be genuinely understanding, try to listen not only to the words but to the meaning, trying to understand the person that's hidden within each one of us, that's helpful. If I really care about this person in an unconditional way, that's helpful. If I can really be myself in a relationship, not a professional expert, not a quote psychologist, not a psychotherapist, just me in that relationship, that's helpful.
So there you have it. In his own words, Carl Rogers, psychologist, founder of Client-Centered Therapy, your INFP. Till next time, stay safe.